All right, and welcome to Fast Break Breakfast NBA Podcast. My name is Keith Parrish. I'm here once again with my buddy through the miracle of computer phone. I'm here with Dave DuFour. Dave, how's it going?
Going great, man. It's been too long. I love the part of the podcast where we pretend we didn't just catch up for like 15 minutes, but it has been too long. I haven't done this show in forever.
You haven't done this show in a little bit, and you've done different versions where there's some where I'm just like I do a little preamble by myself, and then I go, I'm joined right now by Dave DuFour. But this one I'm like, I'm not pre-recording anything. I just want to get this episode out. And also like the Fast Break Breakfast episodes, there used to be like a main show and then like a guest show, and it's all blurring together. The hosts are falling everywhere. And so I'm just introducing you right now.
Rigid formats are out the window, man.
Rigid formats are out the window. We just got to get the content out there. People want the content.
This is not content. This is more than content.
This is just gentlemen talking in the evening.
It's family.
It's family.
You know, it's hanging out.
Vin Diesel.
We're everybody's friend.
Yeah. At the cookout. We're family. I wanted to talk with you. See, this is the thing. This is how we got into this. I wanted to talk with you, honestly, about the Jrue Holiday trade. Like, I wanted to talk. Like, I've talked about it a little bit on Grits and Grinds where I'm like,
but not honestly.
But it's like inner monologuing to myself. I didn't have a guest or anything. And like, I honestly haven't talked about this with other NBA people. And again, that's how I started podcasting. Like, I like talking about basketball. I like talking about the NBA. I think the trades that went down in the NBA this last week or whatever, I know I have transaction brain. Like, I love them and they're excited. They're exciting, but also like there's a couple of big questions about them that I'm not sure about. And I want to get your perspective on like what NBA teams should be doing. But before we do all that, Dave, got to take care of business. Today's episode is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy during the NFL season has upped their new user sign-up bonus. They'll match your opening deposit up to $500. Use promo code FBBF so you can make a little bit of money while you play fantasy football and fantasy basketball. I mean, NBA has started. Preseason started today, Thursday, October 5th in Dubai. The Mavericks and Timberwolves played. So if you want to do some daily fantasy, if you want to do all kinds of little fantasy games for money, try out Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code FBBF or click the link in this episode's description. Also, Dave, we got to talk about your breakfast. What did you have for breakfast? And we're talking at night, which we don't normally do on Fast Break Breakfast. You and I do it sometimes on The Athletic, but not on my feed. So we're talking at night. Right. Let's turn back the clock. What's the first thing you had?
I've at least eaten to eat at this.
You
point.
have. There's no way you fasted until 9 p.m.
I haven't had anything.
Yeah. Okay.
So I had a pot of coffee, this morning, and then after I went to the gym, I ate sushi. So sushi,
delightful
breakfast. I guess
coffee and sushi.
Well, I had the coffee and then worked a bunch and then lifted some weights and then walked home and picked up grocery store sushi, by the way. Right across the street from a good sushi restaurant that I go to all the time, but I didn't have time, so I just
was your thought process that the grocery stores maybe selling the good sushi leftovers or something? They've worked out something?
But it's pretty good. It is pretty good sushi for, grocery store sushi is usually fine. This is pretty good. The place across the street, very good. I just didn't have time to go hang out. So I'll go next week. I try to go once a week and, have some sushi.
And build that community.
Yeah, of course. I walk in, they know what I want, Yeah. So I did eat today.
I'm proud of you for eating. It's very important.
There you go. Yeah, it is important.
So this last trade, I've talked about the Dame trade, the portion where the Milwaukee Bucks paired one of the top, 12, 15 players with Giannis. They appeased Giannis. There's that part of it where Giannis is not going to leave now for at least 2 years. I don't know.
Maybe they get an extra year.
Something like that.
When he extends.
The part of this trade that I was hung up on initially was this obsession I have with the Suns. And the Suns, I thought, made a team better than them. They're in their little very small title window, and they helped the Bucks get Damian Lillard. And this is where I don't know what the right answer is. Where like, do you worry about that stuff? My take was, again, can you not just hang on to DeAndre Ayton and unload him in another fashion where it doesn't help the Bucks get Damian Lillard? So like I already talked about that last week. Now, the next domino in the NBA transaction universe happened with immediately Joe Cronin sending Jrue Holiday to the Celtics. By the way, Jrue Holiday said that Joe Cronin was incredibly easy to work with and totally took care of him and sent him where he wanted to go, which we can all recognize was just amazing. Joe recognizing Drew's tenure on the Blazers and wanting to honor that and be respectful of
how you treat star players.
How you, listen. Yep.
You pay it forward. Henderson is looking at how Jrue Holiday was treated right now. Yes. Thinking about that extension that he's going to maybe sign in 10 years. That's how this works, Keith.
Yep.
That's how the media has led me to believe this works.
That's how it works. But the Blazers immediately flip Jrue Holiday to the Celtics with Malcolm Brogdon and Time Lord and the 2024 Warriors top 4 protected pick. That pick has been used to salary dump Andre Iguodala, acquire Marcus Smart, and now acquire Jrue Holiday. So it's a very powerful pick. Now that this move's happened, we could basically imagine this is a 4-way deal, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I go back to my initial thing. And you can talk me off this angle because I do need another perspective. I go back to the Suns who have gone all in by trading everything they had for Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal, and then deciding they wanted to get rid of DeAndre Ayton so bad they would help Damian Lillard go to the Bucks and then Jrue Holiday go to the Celtics, in effect lowering their title odds. Quite literally, Vegas betting lines, the Suns' title odds plummeted with these two transactions, all because the Suns hated DeAndre Ayton that much. Should the Suns care about how much the Bucks and Celtics got better in these deals?
Yes and no, right? It's a problem they don't have to face until they get to the finals, right? And in theory, I guess Damian Lillard doesn't go somewhere in the West, so you don't have to worry about him there. I got a different question. I'm going to throw us off the rails already.
Please do.
How much do they regret getting Bradley Beal and not being in the Damian Lillard conversation? You know, there's a world in which they could have gotten Lillard and Nurkic, who they seem to love so much, and just by not being patient and seeing what the market was going to look like. I mean, Miami would have been completely out of it, the Damian Lillard deal, because they were hot on the heels of this Bradley Beal thing. I had the idea when Jrue Holiday was available, maybe you're Phoenix and you're calling up Miami saying, hey, we got this not even used Bradley Beal sitting over here. If you want to, maybe send the Dame package to Portland and we can get Jrue Holiday, because Jrue Holiday in Phoenix would have been a much better fit.
I was about to make this joke, Dave. I was about to list all of the players they could have traded for that would have been better for them than Bradley Beal.
They've got Bradley Beal. So
it could have been Damian Lillard. It could have been Jrue Holiday. Yeah. It could have been Marcus Smart, Dave. Marcus Smart, I think, would have been better for this team than Bradley Beal. They have firepower. I don't think they need extra firepower. I think they need a piece that fits in. Like Luke Kennard might have been better for them. Just a guy who makes 55%. 55. Luke Kennard playing alongside Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, hitting 55% of his open threes. Bradley Beal does not hit. What does he hit? 37% of his open threes?
But to be fair, when has he played with guys like this? Never. Right? Whatever. He's going to be more open than he's ever been in his life, theoretically, when he's off the ball.
Yeah.
So Bradley Beal is probably going to have a big season, relative to his role, right? I think he's going to have a good season, even, especially offensively. But it's the defensive end. So to go back, I think if you're Phoenix, look, if you wanted Nurkic that bad and you wanted Ayton gone, like that's obvious, because to me Nurkic is a downgrade on Ayton.
Yes.
But if that was your big target for the summer after getting Bradley Beal, okay, then who cares? You got Dame out. Dame is out of the West. He didn't wind up in LA on one of those teams somehow. And so, maybe your path to the finals is a little bit easier. And you figure, well, if we have to deal with them in the finals, that's a different conversation.
Yeah,
I don't know. I also don't think teams think like that anymore.
So that's what I was thinking, that teams just don't think like this. I think typically you don't. I think typically you're just like, we're just trying to make our team as good as it can be, period. And we have to get DeAndre Ayton out of this locker room. Like that was their objective. Right. But like they have this specific circumstance where like, if we don't win in the next 2 years, we're not going to win in the next 15 or 10, maybe, right. like we've given up all our picks to the next 8 years. If we don't win now, and we also got rid of our young center because we decided he wasn't the guy. And like, I don't know. But maybe you're right that like, all right, the Celtics and Bucks, one of them will cancel each other out. So if you're the Suns, you only have to face one of those teams. I just thought it was unique. I thought it was interesting that like, the perspective of I'm a title contender. I don't necessarily want to make another title contender better. And it's hard. It's hard to, it's obviously hard to do that.
But Milwaukee and Portland could have made the deal regardless, right? They could have made the deal without Phoenix. So if you're Phoenix and you feel like, okay, we could turn Ayton into multiple useful pieces for us, and we like Nurkic, then you just come in, you ride the coattails in that deal. They wind up with Grayson Allen, who, I know how you and I both feel about him, but he is going to be in the rotation for them. He might actually be their
What about Woj reporting they didn't even care if they got Grayson Allen?
See, now that is the funniest thing. They didn't know
we don't care.
Included.
Just give us a player. Oh, it's a mystery player.
Right, because they didn't know he was included.
It might be wound
up being Grayson Allen.
Yeah.
Like, good for them. Also, how about Portland and Milwaukee keeping their mouths shut?
Dude, well played.
That's amazing, man.
Maybe mouth shut. Maybe mouth shut a little too much because apparently Jrue Holiday blindsided. They got traded. Although it's like, how do you not know? I don't know. I can't ever tell. Like, how do you not? It seems like you can give like a couple. I don't know. Is an hour heads up worth it to be like for the Bucks to be like, hey, you might get traded today?
Something that I think about a lot is that information and knowledge are at war in our society. I don't want to go too deep here for a basketball podcast.
No,
but yeah, information and knowledge, right? They're at war. Information can be weaponized so easily. So let's say you're the Bucks and you hit up Jrue Holiday. Hey, just want to give you a heads up. We're working on something. You may be moved. Well, now Jrue Holiday maybe wouldn't do this, but let's just we're theorizing here, right? Hypotheticals. Maybe he hits up his agent. Hey, heard I might get traded.
Yeah.
Who is his agent calling? The people that tell us stuff, right? The people that give us all this information. I think it's okay. Like if you're the knowledgeable one, like if you're in the position where you have the knowledge, you're the GM from both teams, keep that information to yourself, and it's better for you. So I get it, and I actually feel bad because moving sucks, right?
Yeah,
like
sure,
just finding the new pizza place that you like.
Moving.
It's not the moving.
Moving stinks when. It stinks less when you can pay someone to do it all for you.
No.
Slash
and
have an organization pay to move
act
you.
Of moving.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
breaking down the community. We're talking about the family again.
Right.
We're talking
heavily
about
involved in the community.
You go to Jrue went to the grocery store for sushi every Wednesday.
Yeah, exactly.
He loses that.
Right.
But now he goes to the Celtics, and I adore you. We've like, is this just a thing that people like us just like players like Jrue Holiday and Derek White?
Yeah.
And now that they have two of them, you're like, oh man, you got two of those guys? That seems incredible. Like they're like, and then from the Bucks angle, if you're the Bucks, all right, you have to trade for Dame to keep Giannis happy, and it makes you better. I believe it makes them better. But then you got to be very frustrated for Jrue to go straight to Boston, who's your primary opponent in the East. And like, I mean, Jrue famously annihilated Dame in the playoffs, 6 years ago or 5 years ago or something. But like now Dame has to play against Jrue and Derek White. Like that's hard. And I know Giannis is going to feast on if it's Horford or whoever else or
Porzingis or
he's going to feast.
Brown or
it's still like they I feel like this trade, I agree again with the idea that like, oh, the Bucks are the favorites, not anymore. And now I think the Celtics are the favorites. I agree with that. I don't think I'm a prisoner of the moment. Like for me, it was like, oh, well now I like the Celtics roster a lot more. Like they have 6 guys I believe in, even if the front court is big or old. I don't know. And so again, it all goes back to like, You make this trade, the Bucks make this trade, they're excited they get Damian Lillard, but then it's like, oh, but I really don't want Jrue Holiday to go to the Celtics. That's bad for us. And then the Suns being like, oh man, now there's two teams that are maybe, right. that are maybe better than us because we did this deal. The part of it's funnier to me. Obviously, the Bucks have a much different level of urgency in my mind. They had to make the move. They had to get Damian Lillard. The Suns part of it is still a giant mystery to me. Like you couldn't wait. You had to get him out the door.
Again, I think it's weird just because, again, the personality stuff clearly was insurmountable in the locker room because the talent is there, and Nurkic is a downgrade. He's less mobile. Maybe he's better defensively because he will do his role at a higher level in the drop or whatever. But I just think you got less mobile, definitely a less valuable offensive player. Remember, DeAndre Ayton is a killer from mid range.
He's great.
Got a crazy jump hook. I mean, he's a very good player, and Nurkic is obviously past those years,
I think that Nurkic, though, much willing, quicker passer. He's just going to be a hub and feel happy just to pass it to move the ball along. And by the way, big ups to Yusuf Nurkic. I'm gonna get political, Dave.
Too many guns.
He ends up in Arizona, and they're like, "What's something you just don't understand about America?" And it's trying to be funny, and he's like, "The guns everywhere. The children."
He must have gone to a gas station in Arizona.
But I'm like, this man is in like one of the biggest gun states in America, in the biggest gun crazy country on the planet, and him just to be like, I just got on the Suns, and guess what? I don't understand how obsessed you people are with guns and children dying in schools because of guns, but you won't get rid of them. Doesn't make any sense to me. We have wars all over the planet because of people with guns, but I don't understand how in America there's just so many guns everywhere. What do you need them for? Way to go. Way to alienate 70% of maybe the Suns fan base. I don't know about those demographics. By the way, here's the smaller I think we have a new winner to these trades that just was revealed on Thursday. I believe the big winner of the DeAndre Ayton Damian Lillard trade is the Phoenix Mercury, who are getting a new practice facility. Matt Ishbia stepping up for $100 million practice facility for the Phoenix Mercury. That is DeAndre Ayton luxury tax savings reinvested. So the Suns send out DeAndre Ayton. They get back Nasir Little. They get back Grayson Allen. They get back Yusuf Nurkic and one practice facility for the Phoenix Mercury.
That's pretty good.
It's a good transaction.
It's a reinvestment of resources right there. That's what we like to see. Remember, the greatest competitive advantage in sports is ownership.
So who do you agree with me that are the Celtics the best team in the NBA as of where the preseason started today? No. Still Nuggets?
Yeah, still the Nuggets to me.
Okay.
Definitely still the Nuggets. I mean, they were the champs and it was overwhelming.
Yep.
I think they were the best team all year, in my opinion, and they have the best player in Jokic. I think I put Milwaukee. I still have Milwaukee over Boston, and I had it, before any trades were made. I have it after, and I thought Milwaukee was the best team in the East last year, and I don't know what happens if Giannis doesn't get hurt 11 minutes into their series against the Miami Heat. I don't want to be the guy who goes back and relitigates all the stuff that happened after that, but it was obvious that he was not 100%. He was limping in games in that series. So,
and not playing. Literally, he missed games. Yeah.
Missed games. So, I think that, and you play who's in front of you. So the Heat beat them. And their strategy was great. But I thought the Bucks were the best team in the East. I think they've got the best player in the East, and that's huge. And now Damian Lillard, they got another guy that's at least in that, top 15 range. So that's what it really takes in the NBA. This allows them to withstand, the decline of Chris Middleton, who is having injury issues, and potentially the decline of Brook Lopez, because now you're going to swing the other way. Like, they're going to be a top 5 offense with no work, and their defense is probably going to slip some, but we've seen that as long as you can turn it up for moments in the playoffs, because it's not a full 48 minutes of hell that you've got to give your opponents out there. But if you got Giannis, you got Brook Lopez, you can handle a lot defensively for small chunks of the game, especially in playoff situations that you can't during the regular season. So we may see them, I don't know, maybe they win, 50 games instead of 55. But come playoff time, I think they can turn it up quite a bit defensively, and maybe they go from something like top 12 defense in the regular season to, okay, well, when Giannis and Brook are really going as hard as they can, this looks like something like more like a top 5 defense that we're used to. Dame is a huge downgrade. I mean, you went from Jrue Holiday, arguably the best on-ball screen navigating, nail defending, point of attack defender in the league, to Damian Lillard, who has routinely been one of the worst on-ball guys, dies on every screen. And so if he's going to take his activity up a notch and maybe play better, which I need to see it, then it's a different story. But I think they're going to score so many points, it will not matter. They're going to, a top 5 offense should just be, we could write that down.
Yeah. One of the cool parts about the trade is just like, we've never seen Dame on a contender. Like, I mean,
not a real one, and they made it.
The Trailblazers made the conference finals. It was squirrely, but they were not a contender ever that year. Maybe that's semantics. If you're with Final Four, maybe you were a contender, but he's never been on a team that won. What is 54 wins is the most he's ever had in a regular season, something like that. Now he's in this where it's now it's time for real basketball. But like you say, the offensive gifts are incredible. His the shooting range, the way people can't. I saw this thing today. I don't even know which public or who put this out, but it was of all the players who've run in 1,000 pick and rolls, teams switch the least against him because they're just going over. They're we can't let him shoot, because when you do switch, it's 1.21 points per possession. It's gonna be fun to see at the end of the year what's gonna be the higher points per possession in the NBA, Giannis Dame 2-man games, pick and rolls, or whenever Jokic touches the ball. And so it's going to be that. That's going to be the give and take. I like you recognizing the Nuggets probably still, they're the champ to be unseated. I think the Nuggets have a big leg up in coaching, Mike Malone proven.
Well, continuity, just generally, right? These guys have been together for a while.
The Bucks and the Celtics, their talent on the court, for me, it's a question mark of the talent on the bench as far as the coach.
Oh, yeah.
Personally, I don't know how to assess coaches. I leave that to other people, but I'm just saying I don't know if Joe Mazzulla has
a pretty good idea on how to
Griffin has
coaches.
Yeah. And so that's going to be a question for me. And that's right. I think the Nuggets have that advantage. How's Frank Vogel going to handle what he's been given on the Suns? Those are big question marks to me.
Vogel, less of a question mark to me, because I think we've seen him, and especially, think about the Lakers title that he won. A veteran group. I know what Frank Vogel is going to give. But
isn't his calling card defense? And
it is.
They gave him a 100% offensive team.
Yeah. Well, okay. So the easy part of the job is done. You've got Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal. They are going to score points. Now, how do you build a defense with that personnel? I think Frank Vogel is actually, that's who you want in that situation. Gifted offensive players need less on that end, especially in the NBA, because it's all about individual advantage creation mostly, right? The defensive side is where you need someone who's going to think the game like that. Now, but with the Bucks, I don't know what Adrian Griffin is going to coach like. It's going to be a new system of some sort. You got a new point guard who's not as good of a defender by a mile from your previous one. So you're going to have to change the defense quite a bit. They're going to change a lot. So hopefully they have hopefully for them, an experimental regular season and try stuff and figure out what works with this new group. Boston has a little bit of advantage, obviously, with Mazzulla having been there previously, was there last year as the head coach, and now is getting to install stuff of his own in training camp. So he's got some rapport. You've got some, it's just a different roster. They've got Jrue Holiday, who's pretty much plug and play from Marcus Smart, in my opinion. I think the biggest question mark is Porzingis, maximizing him on the offensive end and the defensive end. He's a good weak side help guy defensively, and not as good as Robert Williams was, but he's serviceable for sure there. But on the offensive end, I already heard people talking about posting up. And I swear, man, I am going to lose it if the Boston Celtics in 2023 are running post up for Kristaps Porzingis. I am going to lose it.
I thought his post-up numbers were amazing last year.
We need a wrinkle. Yeah, last year. Give 1 year. No, sir. look, man, go back and look at this guy's PPP on post ups. If your idea of a successful post up is a fadeaway from 8 to 10 feet, great, run them all day and hope he hits them. I don't think that that's successful. He doesn't pass out when the double comes, so you can hard double him, and when you do force him into a decision, not necessarily a good one. And for Boston, they really need to not do that. I mean, post up Jason Tatum, please post him up. He's got a great fadeaway. He can get to the basket. He draws fouls. But man, I really am curious how they're going to wind up using Porzingis in that 4 or 5 spot that he's playing out there. I think this season we're actually going to see a lot of Luke Cornett.
You think so?
20 minutes. I think there's going to be a lot of 20-minute games for Luke Cornett.
A lot of Luke Cornett, a lot of Peyton Pritchard this year. They're going to
depends on who
they're going to free him.
Like. I mean, who do you like in the pick and pop? Luke Cornett or Kristaps Porzingis? I think that there are a lot of times where Cornett is just, all right, that guy's a solid shooter. He's going to hit these.
The NBA preseason started today. The Mavericks,
Abu Dhabi.
Mavericks and Timberwolves played in Abu Dhabi. They play again on Saturday. The Mavericks, all right, famously missed the play-in last year. They have Luka. They have Kyrie. They've already announced their starting lineup for this. They announced it before the first preseason game. They announced it before training camp started. And they said that their 2 rookies, Derek Lively and Omax Prosper, are going to start. One, isn't that wild behavior to announce before you've ever brought rookies in the door for a training camp? 2, isn't that a terrible idea? If you have Luka and Kyrie, great self-creators, great best in the NBA level offensive players. Wouldn't the thing you not want to do is surround them with 3 non-scorers, 3 people you can help? Like, they're going to start Grant Williams, Omax Prosper, and Derek Lively. You're going to start 2 rookies who no one's going to guard. They're just going to go all double team Luka and Kyrie. And in my mind, in 2000, that would have been a great idea, because every team was playing 2 or 3 guys who could not score. But like, no one does that anymore. This just seems like you're just going to hamper. I thought we'd all accepted, hey, scorers, and then just surround them with shooters. And they're like, no. We're going to surround them with rookies who can't score. What am I missing? What am I missing? What am I missing?
It's going to work out great, man. It's going to work out great. Rookie bigs are usually awful.
Rookies are normally awful.
Right. But rookie bigs are normally awful.
Specifically. Yeah.
The Mavericks have had bad big play for a long time. I mean, Maxi Kleber has been their most consistent big, and he's now going to come off the bench, even though he has also been one of their best shooters when they needed him. It's a whole mess. Doesn't this feel like somebody's trying to prove a point?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
It's so just like, me, did Jason Kidd draft these guys? He's like, this is.
No.
Okay. It's so weird.
I think he's not happy that they didn't go get him a veteran. And then they let JaVale McGee go. This feels
last year they announced JaVale McGee was going to be the starter, and that lasted not very long.
Is this a power struggle? Being
probably is. He's like, oh, you drafted these guys? Fine. They're my starters. Because like, I know it's preseason and preseason doesn't really matter, but like when Kleber and Dwight Powell and Seth Curry came in the game, I was like, oh, this is a normal lineup. Like this is the lineup of a playoff team. Like Luka plus Seth Curry plus 2 veteran bigs who know what they're doing. One of them can space the court a little bit. The other's a lob threat. Like that makes sense. The other one, it's like just begging Grant Williams to shoot. Like if Grant Williams hits 8 threes, we're going to lose, but let's go for it. Like fire away.
Then you have Kyrie.
Kyrie. Let him cook.
It's going to be amazing.
I'm very down on the Mavericks based on not their preseason game, based on the announcement before training camp started that we're starting 2 rookies. It's like, this is a disastrous. Feels like a disastrous.
I just think they've had an awful run since they made the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah,
almost every decision has been a bad one, in my opinion. Like the roster, I mean, the 2 most important players in that run outside of Luka Doncic, Dorian Finney-Smith and Reggie Bullock, are gone, right? Got rid of them.
Should we talk about Bullock real quick?
Hey, take the money and run, man. Take the money and run.
Did the Rockets pay him more than the minimum?
Yeah, I think he got some of the MLE.
Oh, okay.
And look, man, maybe he's got a deal. Look, we all know that the NBA is built on deals, and not every GM is a liar. So maybe he makes a deal there. Hey, I'll come in, I'll sign this contract, I'll be a vet, and then maybe come trade deadline, you guys move me to a place where I got a shot at winning a title. We'll see. That being said, he's a useful piece. You pick him up, it's just money to Houston. So you pick him up, you keep him in-house, keep him healthy, get him minutes. Hopefully, it's again another adult in the room, and it's helpful. He's been a good teammate at a bunch of places.
Well, I like it. So the Rockets they're trying to win. And
they want to win.
I think Ime Udoka is just like, a veteran who's just solid. Great. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's bring it in. We'll give him some of the minutes that, that we're not going to give to a rookie. Yeah.
There's no rule that says you can't have a bunch of young guys and a bunch of veterans who aren't like stars or all-stars, right? Like there's no rule against being okay. And I think that I actually am pro okay because they've got enough young guys. Jabari Smith is going to be really good. I mean, I just think he is going to be really good. I don't know about Jalen Green. I don't know about is it Asur that's there, or is it Amen?
Amen.
I can't remember. Amen is there. Amen Thompson. I don't know about him. I think Jabari Smith is going to be really good. So just give these guys some room to grow and figure it out with some guys who actually know how to do it. I'm cool with it, and they'll probably flip him and get an asset for it. So good for everybody.
So Bullock has been on all three Texas teams this summer. He's gone
paying no state income tax.
He's gone from Mavs to the Spurs, now to the Rockets. Lazarus Jackson had a great idea for this, who reached out on Twitter. He had a theory because Reggie Bullock has bought this island in the Caribbean.
Oh no.
His idea was they probably have some great direct flights from all these Texas airports. And he's probably right. He probably was like, honestly, like the 2 times I've flown to Central America, I went through Houston both times. And so he might've been like, I kind of want to live in Houston to have a direct flight to my island. And maybe that's it. Maybe this is maybe that's like the secret reason.
I mean, couldn't he just retire and go to his island? Like, I don't know.
I mean, maybe he's chartering a jet, but maybe there's somewhere, maybe he has a routine where you fly to like St. Kitts or something, and then you take a little.
I wonder how long is the flight?
I don't know exactly where the island is. That's probably it's a trade secret.
Like, how often is this guy going to his island?
I believe he commutes like Kawhi Leonard from San Diego.
San Diego,
yeah. I believe it's a similar commute. Speaking of Kawhi, speaking of the Clippers, I guess we can talk about this. So a couple of NBA teams are having their training camps not in their home city. One is the Sixers, who are in Colorado. By the way, another is the Bulls, who are in Nashville. And I got a text that was like, hey, there's a Bulls open practice in Nashville. I was like, what? I didn't even know they were here. And my buddy's like, yeah, it's an open practice at 10. Just come on by. And I look online. There's no information about this being an open practice. And so I'm like, hey, I'm not seeing this. Can you send me a link or something? Because like, if it's an open practice, it would be advertised. So I'm like, sure. This is not an open practice. But he's like, yeah, I'm in the gym. Just come on by. So I come on by. Everything's locked up. I'm wearing Denver Nuggets Mitchell and Ness shorts and a gray t-shirt. And I'm just running all these locked doors everywhere. And I'm like in this parking garage, and some guy like with a backpack on is like, I was like, hey, how's it going, man? And he goes, good. Are you with the Bulls? And I was like, no, but I'm just trying to get into my, I'm like, no, but I'm trying to get into my buddy who's on the court. He's like, yeah, come on, man. And so this guy just brought me in, and I don't know if he thought I was just like a coach or a player or
well,
like,
you're tall.
I'm a 6'4" dude. I was wearing basketball shorts, and he was just like, hey, are you with the Bulls? Yeah, let me bring you on in. So he brought me into this closed practice, and you could tell it was closed. And I was like, I don't know if I should just cram on in. So yeah, I just walked in, kind of like looked around. Unfortunately, I missed all the on-court work. They had gone to maybe I shouldn't be talking about sneaking into a
no, I don't know. I don't know, man.
I was let in by a guest of the university. I respectfully saw it was a closed practice. I didn't take any photos.
There you go.
Yeah. So they're in Nashville. But yeah, the Sixers are in Fort Collins, Colorado, and James Harden has famously showed up, and apparently he's on his quote unquote best behavior. Which, come on now, let's be real. We can have standards for people that we expect them to do good work and not just compliment them for doing the bare minimum. But apparently, maybe the Clippers are actively engaging, and that's what's driving this all. Is that what seems to be what you think is going on right now? The Clippers are finally like, yeah, let's get serious. Let's haggle over these picks and maybe make something happen with Daryl Morey.
Yeah, everybody's in the same room now, too, right? I mean, training camp is fired up. Kawhi and Paul George, from all the reporting this summer, shout out to Law Murray, my guy over at The Athletic. All the reporting this summer, it seemed like Kawhi and Paul George are in on getting James Harden, just like they were on getting Russell Westbrook. And
John Wall.
Hey, listen, man, those guys kind of run the show and call the shots. And now we've got new reporting that just came out today, I guess, from Sam Amick, saying that the Clippers are starting to come up off some assets, like maybe an unprotected first to try to make this thing happen. Prospect, big time prospect Terrence Mann, who's 27 years old and has yet to be able to consistently hold down a starting job for some reason. For no good reason, because I actually think he's a good player. The idea that he would stop a Harden trade from happening is pretty funny. But it is a good way, I guess, to try to get the price down. I think it's going to happen. It feels like it's going to happen. Harden reported. This report comes out the next day. It seems like, this is how this stuff happens, right? Again, information, right?
My thought would be it has to happen because what else is there? Like, I know
for the Clippers.
I mean for the Sixers. If they don't, I do feel like the Clippers should do this because, like, you got to do something. Because right now, I don't think you're a top 5 team in the West. Maybe they are, but like, obviously, Kawhi is expected to miss time like he always does. If they're totally healthy, I'm not convinced they're a top 5 team. And I think they kind of have to. Like, what's the point of not going and getting James Harden? But the flip side is, if you're the Sixers, what are your options to try? Right. Like, you can't win them over.
They should have more options, man. They actually should have more options. James Harden was awesome last year.
He was great last year. He was an all-star snub, flat out.
He really was, and he was great. And so, again, this is a failure organizationally, I think, for the Sixers not being able to make this thing work, because they are probably going to be worse this season because of it. Harden was very good. You can see all the ways in which he fits in the Clippers and what they do, especially the fact that the guy can just create on his own. That's a team that they do a lot of isolation. They've got good shooters that they can have around him. Him and Zubac would probably be great in the pick and roll together. Defensively, you've got guys that can kind of make up for his deficiencies, and he can guard some fours for you. He likely starting lineup would be him, Russ, Kawhi, PG, and Zubac. So
that's wild.
Harden guarding fours is likely what you're going to wind up with. So, it seems like it's probably going to happen. It makes the most sense, but I'm a little bit like, unless his people have put out there, he really only is going to show up to the Clippers and he's going to make a big stink about it. I don't know why other teams aren't kicking the tires.
Which teams would you like to see them kick the tires?
If Toronto wants to try to compete this year,
I wish they would. It's okay to be okay. What's that shirt you wanted?
It's okay to be okay.
It's okay to be okay.
But there are teams that could use a James Harden.
He'd be great on the Magic. Make teams fun again, Dave.
Listen, James Harden in Orlando. Now, last year I wanted Russell Westbrook in Orlando. Like, just Russ,
I don't let him go down there.
Let him go down there and just do whatever. But James Harden there, they're in the play-in, probably.
I agree. I think so.
And maybe even like they could maybe compete.
Having a playmaker who can score and shoot, which they desperately need that. I feel like so many teams need that. Yeah, he'd be a fun piece on a lot of teams, but it does feel like the Clippers thing. It makes too much sense. They have all those bloated salaries of like guys they can easily match the contract. Just now, like, give the Sixers, be nice to the Sixers, I guess. Give them the 2. Everyone unprotect your picks again. It's fun. It's cool. Okay. Just unprotect the picks again. They'll be fine. They'll they'll get traded. In
the lottery odds have been changed so much, man. Like,
yeah, we're gonna keep changing the lottery odds, so you're not gonna. Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we'll get some movement there. Well, anyways,
I think we're going to, man. I think we're definitely going to.
I keep falling back under. What else are you gonna do? Like, if he refuses to play for you, and you have Joel Embiid there, Team USA newest member Joel Embiid, like, you're gonna waste that on like a busted season of James Harden, and then going to next year with like, you got Maxey as a free agent, you have Harden as a free agent, you have Tobias Harris as a free agent, you have DeAnthony Melton as a free agent. Like, you're going to try to re-sign. You can't re-sign all those. Like, no one ever brings back all of your guys. And like, how are you going to get any better? Yeah. I feel like Morey is back against the wall here. Like, I don't know how he's going to wiggle his way out of this jam.
Well, there is a point where it becomes not a James Harden issue. It becomes a Joel Embiid issue.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why the Knicks weren't in on Jrue Holiday. They're just hoping. I mean, there are a lot of teams hoping that Joel Embiid just is like, okay, I'm out. And I think if you're the Sixers, that's the bigger concern. You got to just move on and get your team together, because you're taking a step back no matter what. You better just go ahead and take that step so that you can start moving forward.
Yep. That was a good, nice, concise wrap up. That felt like the end of the youth minister's sermon. Yeah, take that step back.
It's okay.
So you can start moving forward.
Okay.
It's okay to be okay.
Yeah.
Everyone turn to your right, say one positive affirmation to the person beside you. Dave.
Shake hands, man.
Pleasure as always. Listeners, if you want to play fantasy basketball with me, we have the signups going right now at patreon.com. Patreon supporters, go fill out the fantasy basketball form at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. Remember that promo code FBBF when you try out Underdog Fantasy. You guys are the best. Thanks for listening. And remember, breakfast is the most important thing